weekend?
Real as I want to be. It'll make people think what they should think, that when they think they know me, they don't really. Because who knows me? I barely know myself. You know, we're all of us neurotic messes these days. I think I'm beginning to know myself. I certainly don't share everything of myself with everybody. And so therefore, I am what I want to be at certain times of my life, you know?
You've got a whole new look. The beard, the shorter hair.
Well, yeah, the beard was kind of an accident, really. The hair, I just went into a photo shoot once, and they said, look, we'd like to try something different. And I said, well, this year, meaning this summer '98, I'm going to get one of those things and just shave my head to about ½ an inch, and then let it grow back and see how it would grow. And they said, oh, well, we don't want to be that disastrous. So they just trimmed bits off, and as I looked in the mirror, I thought, yeah, I like the shape of it. I like the short cut. But I quite enjoy the beard, actually. I like it. It also gives you a good jawline, chaps.
Well, Cliff, you are 58 years of age, fit as anything, working the best. What is the secret to your looking so fabulous at this age?
I try to eat well. I try to get as much exercise as I can. I'm not really into gymnasium work, although if you could get a regular group of people to go with, 2 or 3 people to go with so you can have a laugh as well, I could quite easily get into it. But doing it on my own is boring. So I like to play tennis. So at least I keep aerobically fit. If you practice tennis, it can be aerobic. If you play the game, it's not, of course. But, and that's helped me a great deal. So, you know, you try your best, but if I don't look my age, I've always said that if any of us don't look our age, then we have to consider ourselves just lucky.
But so many people say, look at Cliff Richard at that age, and they'll turn to their husband, who is probably the same age, and say, is he taking himself off to these Swiss clinics?
Well, not yet, but I'm open to offers because I keep thinking that if my career continues at this pace, there'd be nothing wrong in having a tuck here and there. Why not? You know, if something grew on the side of my nose and had a great bushy hair growth on it, I'd have it removed. And really, the only reason why people would need a facelift is because it's just what it says. It lifts what's dropped. In other words, what the dropping is not natural. It's only through years of gravity pulling it down. So why not have it taken up, particularly if you're going to be a public person, because there's nothing worse, and I'm so aware of it. You know, I was being made up at a BBC studio once for Top of the Pops, and the makeup artist was putting this kind of foundation on, and she was getting nearer and nearer and nearer to me. And I said, oh, is there something wrong? And she went, oh, no, I'm so sorry. She said, I was just looking for the scars. So people assume that I've had a facelift anyway.
Something should be private, just between the two of us. Trust me when I say my lips are sealed. But girl, it's no big secret that I'm crazy for your love. I wanna put up a sign that the lady is mine.
Well, Sir Cliff Richard,
Well,
this comes from, with love, from the loyal, loving fans of yours from Merseyside and Cheshire.
oh, it's
Silver Rose
beautiful.
Bowl, and it is exactly 100 years old. It's made in 1898
Oh, really, my birthday?
in London.
Wendy Leftwich, you are the president of the Cliff Richard Fan Club. How many worldwide members are there?
Approximately about 15,000.
How long have you been a fan of Cliff's?
40 years. Ever since he very first started. I was 13, and it was just magic to have our own, very own rocker, you know, in Britain, because we'd only had Elvis Presley before from the States.
Anyway, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
Very sweet.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Well, this is Albert Hall, and you look so cool, calm, and collected.
Well, I'm actually, at the moment, I feel fine. I've had my family here, and they always relax me, because you can't afford to have any side with them, and I don't really need a great deal of time. Remember, I've already done the show in Australia and New Zealand, and so therefore I know it works, because the crowds there enjoyed it, and I've already done 2 nights here at the Albert Hall where we recorded the video. So again, we were able to check everything out. So now, It's more apprehension. There's an adrenaline pump in a minute. When we go under the floor to make the entrance, because we come up to the middle of the stage, there's an adrenaline pump, which is a nice feeling, actually, kind of excitement, and you can hear the crowd, and then the music starts, and it's more of an apprehension as, will they like me tonight the way they liked you last night? Oh, this is stardom, isn't it?
His voice is magnificent, his songs are wonderful, his shows are just fabulous, you know. You come to a show and you just think, I've just got to see that all over again. The man is a professional. He's the best ambassador this country has in the music industry.
I think most of you know that the band and I tour Australia and New Zealand. We go to the other side of the world very, very often. And whenever I'm there, I get invited on TV shows. And there's one particular TV show called the Midday Show. And they have a very attractive interviewer. I've always had really, really terrific interviews with her.
Wow! I almost want to say Midday. Well, are there any Australians here? Any others? Yeah?
We've got two in our brass section in Australia.
And there's beautiful Mark Taylor. Can I tell you something really exciting? Because you've been on the Midday Show in Australia. Jeff Harvey, who is our maestro, who is a personality all to himself. In fact, earlier this year, we had the great privilege of having Mark with us, and I can't wait to get home and tell Jeff that Mark's got a proper job.
I've always been supported really, really well in Australia. The fans are really loyal, just like yourselves, and we have a wonderful time over there. And I thought, I haven't really kind of told you what we like to do, you folks, but I think we should do something for your lot in Australia.
But to which side?
And he sang as he watched and waited till it really boiled. You'll come on, sing my silver with me.
Such fun! I mean, that was so much fun. Jeff, can you just imagine, I can now say, I've played Albert Hall.
That's very good, that's terrific. It really is, must be lovely. Is it as big as it's...
It is, it's even bigger than you can imagine. I mean, it's just very, very powerful when you walk in there. Isn't it nice that the saxophone player, Mark Taylor.
Yeah,
so you can pick the best?
Absolutely, I think that's lovely. I think it's a big orchestra too, isn't it?
Oh, yes, they had the London Philharmonic and then a rhythm section on top of that.
Was Rex in the band? Were you in the band, Rex?
I just...
No, well, it's the only band he hasn't been in for the whole year. But
yeah, I know.
Anyway, well done,
Rex.
Doc.
You've had a haircut. Oh.
I'm glad we got that over with anyway.
But it was exciting.
Well done. What else? Is that it, or is there any more?
No. Tomorrow we have a chat. I talked to him about lots of very interesting things. The issue of ageism. I mean, it's a youth-driven society, but people who get to a certain age, and doesn't matter what field they're in, all of a sudden can't find a job, even though they're talented, they're very...
I don't think we're going to that too
No, let's not go there too far. But I mean, there's lots of good stuff. We talked to Cliff, and I was very, very delighted to have been invited over by Cliff and the record company to have a chat to him. We had a fabulous time, but it was a real buzz. The name of Sir Cliff's new album is As Real As I Want to Be, and I think, here it is here, that one. Oh, that, you really love that, and there's a very hot, he's been making front page headlines over there, because it was Cliff Richard, they thought it was uncool to play him, and he was making headlines everywhere. There's a great story attached to that, and of course there's the compilation, the 40 years of Cliff, all the hits that you love, and oh, And there's more. There's the biography, interviews, photographs, called Cliff Richard, the biography. And you love it. You know when you go out and you see all the merchandising, I mean, there's the programs. And look what they sell. This is the front of Albert Hall, and I couldn't resist it. We've got the 40 years of Cliff, the little briefcase. And then there's pens. And then there's, I have no idea what that was, but it seemed like a good idea to buy it at the time. Business. He's performing 32 sold-out shows at the Royal Albert Hall, and he's just released 2 brand new albums. We've got the compilation album, 40 Years of Hits, and boy, does he jam-pack it full of hits there. And this is the new one as well, Real As I Want to Be. He sold, you know, more records than any other artist, living or dead, but now believes at the age of 58 he's the victim of ageism.
I just got to tell someone about the way I feel. Shout it from the rooftop to the street. And if I spread the word, please tell me who's it gonna hurt. I'm in love with you, girl. Let me talk to the world.
I've had a tough time in Britain with airplay over the last 5 or 10 years, and it's really become harder and harder, and now almost impossible for people like me at my age, no matter how good our records are, to get any airplay. We decided to release a single from the Real album, and the song we chose was called Can't Keep This Feeling, and a very soul-y, rhythm and blues ballady thing. I sang with a lot of breath and a lot of falsetto, and we did, as we tend to do quite often, a dance mix of it, and it came out really black and soulful. So we thought, let's put this out without my name on it. So we just released a white label CD, and it simply said Black Knight 001. And in 2 stations, I actually got into the charts. And they thought it was terrific. And I was getting this kind of message back saying, what is Black Knight? The singer is wicked, man. I thought, they're talking about me. And of course, then it was a great scam. Of course, I came out and went on one of the guys' radio stations, and he said, okay, introduce yourself. And he just said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy that sings on Can't Keep This Feeling In. And I said, hi there, my name is Cliff Richard.
Can't keep this feeling for another minute. I can hold it back. You know I'm trying to. I just gotta count the ways you bless my days. Baby, I can't keep this feeling.
The interesting thing is that when other stations discovered it was me, they pulled it from their playlist.
But is it because Cliff Richard is considered, quote, uncool?
Cool is such an old-fashioned word. I remember using that in the 50s. I can't believe that people could be so uncool as to use the word cool. In the end, what everybody wants is success. I have it. That's what makes me cool. You don't have to like every record I make. You don't even have to like any of the records I make. Not at all. What you have to do is say, this guy has sold more records than almost anybody alive on the planet. That's cool.
There's 2 things I know for sure. She was sent here from heaven, and she's daddy's little girl. As I drop to my knees by her bed at night, she talks to Jesus, and I close my eyes, and I thank God for all of the joy in my life.
Is it tough being a public Christian?
Yeah, it is really. It's a mantle that's impossible to wear. You know, because people, if you say you're a Christian, people seem to demand and expect this kind of perfection, which is impossible. There's a great move, certainly in Britain, I'm sure in Australia too, to try and make church-going more relevant. I think they deal with topics now when they're discussing that are far
So what
more
are the
relevant to
toughest
people.
topics the church will have to deal with to make it relevant?
Well, they're going to have to deal with the way the society lives now. They're going to have to deal with one-parent families. They're going to have to deal with sex outside marriage. I'm not saying they've got to condone it, but they've got to have a pretty rational, radical opinion about all these things and a reason for why people should become Christians. I know why they should become Christians, and we all do basically. It's just very hard to express it. They should become Christians because the world is heading not in a very nice way. The world is not improving. Just when we think we have world peace, it could explode in the Middle East. What are we going to do? What do we have in life without something that's satisfying and comforting and encouraging, that's going to take you through your life? And when you look at it, There's very little, if anything, that can do that, other than Christianity.
But there are the big picture things like the environment and nuclear war. Then there's the everyday things. Virtually everybody lives in sin and has sex outside of marriage today. It is just a fact of life.
Yeah, it is, but it's a fact of life that people fall off cliffs as well and put their hands in fires. You wouldn't allow it because it happens to be a fact of life. You attempt to warn them. It's not for me to be judgmental. I can only say that it seems to me that we live in a world now that if you look at some of the negative statistics, they've never been as negative or as large. There have never been more people pregnant and having abortions than now. There have never been more marriages breaking down until now. There have never been this time when more relationships, even people who just live, which is a commitment in itself. I don't know that we need to be married all the time. In the sight of God, though, we need to commit to somebody else.
Oh, with all that I've done wrong, I must have done something right to deserve a hug every morning and butterfly kisses at night.
If I, as a Christian, met somebody else who was a Christian and we wanted to marry, but for some reason we thought we don't need to actually have a bit of paper, I would be prepared to speak in front of other people without a priest. I'm not sure that I'm right in saying this, but if I committed myself to her in the sight of God, to me that would be marriage. But it would mean that I would commit myself to that and I would work to make that work. Okay, I can't guarantee that emotions will always be high and lusty, because I know for a fact that it doesn't always last that way. But if we're genuine and we want to make it work, we can make something fabulous happen, even when the big romantic gush and rush is over. It can still be beautiful and nice, but you've got to work at that. It seems to me that the society is not bothered about working at anything, neither a relationship, not even a job. We want everything now. And if it doesn't work, off we go. It's part of the record industry too. Wheel them in, wheel them out. Next. What band was that? Oh no, that was last year's. Let's get back to loyalty. Let's get back to commitment and dedication. Let's get back to love.
But is sex outside of marriage wrong?
It's only wrong if you're a Christian. There are no judgments for a man that's outside Christianity. I can't judge him.
But can you believe in God
Yeah.
or have faith and still have sex outside marriage?
Yeah, I don't think the two things are exclusive. I mean, mutually exclusive. It's just that if you were a Christian, you would want to do, the whole essence of being a Christian is trying to get yourself out of the mire, which we never actually succeed in. I still haven't succeeded at it, and I've been a Christian for 34 years. I still am ashamed of some of the things I think, do, say, and I guess that'll be till my dying day. But the motivation is to be what God would have me be. So you have to make the attempt. And therefore, if I read, and the only thing you can find, the only way you can find out about God is to read what it says about him, and it's got to be from the Bible. And so you find all these truths and all these wonderful things there, and some things that are uncomfortable, like sex outside marriage. And so you think, oh, drat, you know. But you think, okay, if I believe in you, I'll give it a whirl. I've got to try this, otherwise I'm not being true to you, and I'm certainly not being true to myself. So you attempt it. So I would say to the man or woman who's a Christian and wonders why sex outside marriage is wrong, check it out in the Bible. If you really believe in God, you'll want to please him. So try to. He is the most forgiving person. All I know is that without his forgiveness, I would have failed 1,000 times, maybe 1,000 times a year, to be a Christian.
Baby, I can't. Baby, I can't. Baby, I can't keep this feeling here. Oh, keep this feeling.
Cliff Richard, Sir Cliff. And Cliff's compilation album is called 40 Years of Hits, and his new album, which you saw a couple of those tracks for there, is called As Real As I Want to Be. And I want to thank David Baxter and the EMI people, most especially Sir Cliff Richard and his people in London for treating us so well. And producer of that story was Kerry Roberts. Thank you all. We'll be back with more after this.